This is episode number 49 of the Fine Dining Podcast, and we're going to Denver for burgers.
This is the Fine Dining Podcast. The Fine Dining Podcast. For foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's your host, Seth Ressler.
Hello, and welcome to the Fine Dining Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Ressler, and this is the podcast for foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's how it works. Each week, we go to a different city, and we talk to somebody who really knows the local food scene. Sometimes it's a food blogger. Sometimes, like today, it's a food event organizer. I'm very excited because we have Jeremy Kostler on the line. He is the organizer of the Denver Burger Battle. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, this is great. I love this idea as an event. I'm a burger guy, so I am really excited about this. We're going to talk to you about the culinary scene in Denver. We're then going to talk to you about the burger battle. And finally, we're going to play a game called Out of the Frying Pan. I know that's got you a little on the edge of your seat there, huh?
No, I'm ready for it.
Oh, you've been practicing.
Give it to me, Seth. I'm ready.
All right, that's what I like. Let's talk about the dining scene in Denver. I know before we do, you've got a trivia question for me. What is it?
My trivia question is, Denver lays claim to inventing this iconic American food item. What is it?
Denver lays claim to an iconic food item. And this is a prepared dish of some sort?
This is a dish, yes. It's a dish that you would order at a restaurant, yes.
It's not brand name or specific to one particular restaurant.
Correct, that's right.
So, it could be something like a burger or a hot dog or a pizza or something in that kind of vein, or it could be something even more upscale. Upscale or,
it's a blank canvas. You can make it upscale, downscale.
There's something along those lines. So I got to think about which one of those is going to come from Denver, because I have a feeling it's something along those lines. We're going to think about that. We're going to come back to that. Tell me about the city of Denver. First of all, how long are you a Denver native?
No, I like a lot of people who live here, came here from elsewhere and fell in love and decided this would be our home.
So talk to me, for people who are not from Denver, what is that city known for when it comes to food?
Number one is beer. I mean, we are the Napa Valley of beer in Denver. Actually, Colorado really is the Napa Valley of beer. We have more breweries per capita than any other state in the nation. Amazing beer. We have the greatest beer event maybe even in the world, other than maybe Oktoberfest. We have the Great American Beer Festival here, which brings 50,000 people in a huge warehouse to try beer. Den-Mex, which is kind of like our Denver version of Mexican food.
What is that? I've heard of Tex-Mex. What is Den-Mex?
Den-Mex is Mexican food with a Denver flair. Den-Mex food has incorporates a lot of green chilies and sort of more, anglicized Mexican food.
Is there a big Latino population there in Denver?
Huge, yeah. Very, very strong Latino population. It influences a lot of our culinary choices.
All right, so I'm coming to Denver for Mexican food and beer, is what it sounds like.
So far. But there's more to come, Seth. So we're also known for our lamb. I mean, Colorado lamb is if you were to have a steak in Sydney, Australia, they would call it Colorado lamb because it's well known for... We're well known for our lambs here.
Say that again.
It is true. If you had if you had a lamb dish in another part of, and I think I've actually seen this in another part of the world, they would call it Colorado lamb because it's got such a good cachet coming from Colorado.
I had no idea.
Then our peaches are really good. We'll give Georgia a good run for their peaches, and then our sweet corn is very sweet because of our seasonality and the fact that it cools off so much at nighttime.
All right, I'm excited to eat in Denver now.
There you go.
Talk to me about the neighborhoods. If I'm coming in for the first time, are there particular neighborhoods that I should go explore as a foodie?
I would say so, yeah. And it's changed over the last 5 years, I think. The best neighborhood to try so far right now is Lower Highlands. Great food scene. It gets consistently rated as the top restaurant neighborhood in Denver. Another one that's really up and coming is Ballpark, which has, in the last 5 years, totally exploded with great restaurants. But it's kind of a weird area. In one sense, you'll have a fine dining place or in one block, and then you'd go another block down and you might fear for your life. So it's kind of a strange neighborhood, but it's definitely up and coming. Great restaurants right there. And then downtown in the last few years has been great too.
What about chefs? Any chefs that we should be keeping an eye on?
Definitely. Recently, we were just awarded, this is a first for Denver. One of our chefs got awarded the James Beard Award for Best Chef in the Southwest.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. So who was that?
Jennifer Jasinski. She is also, by the way, this summer going to be on Top Chef Masters.
Oh, nice. So if we want to go check out her restaurant, what is it and where can we find it?
She's the chef owner of Rioja, and then she also owns Bistro Vendôme and Euclid Hall. Euclid Hall is also very, very cool. I dig Euclid Hall.
Well, what's that all about?
Euclid Hall's kind of like, it's pig-centric. It's got great beer, really, really good beer. It's kind of like a beer hall that serves really, really good upscale pub food. They've got like one of the best chicken and waffle dishes I've ever had.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's super good.
What kind of beer do you pair with chicken and waffles?
You got me.
So tell me this, though. You've got so many great beers there. What are the ones that you love that you really recommend people check out?
I love this beer from Northern Colorado, from a brewery up there called Left Hand, and it's milk stout. I like a stout. I like a dark beer. So that's a really good one. And if you can get it nitro, which means that it's got less bubbles in it, then that's the way to go, in my opinion. There are some other really good wheat beers here. A lot of people know New Belgium Brewery, and Odell's has a really good Easy Street wheat. That's very good.
All right, we're going to talk about your event, but are there any other events that go on centered around food in the city of Denver that you recommend?
Sure, and I'll start from a little bit outside of Denver in Colorado. Is of course the Aspen Food and Wine Festival. Everybody knows the Aspen Food and Wine Festival is, probably the premier food festival in the United States as far as upscale goes. You might have to win the lottery if you'd like to attend it. From what I understand, it's something like $1,500 a day to go to the event. So I have never been to that one, but I hear good things. As far as the city of Denver, I'm pretty biased. We very passionate about the Denver Burger Battle. I think hopefully that's one of the better events in the city. But there's another one called Do at the Zoo, which I just love, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And basically, they close down the zoo, our Denver Zoo, and it's a good zoo. And then they put in like 60 restaurants. And so you'll go to this event, and this has actually happened where, I'm talking to a chef and he's serving like a scallop dish or something like that. It's a little tastes and things. And I was talking to him, and then right behind his head, there was like a rhinoceros moving around. It's like so bizarre, but really cool.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Now, nothing ever happens like suddenly zebra or hyena winds up in the dish, winds up on the menu for the evening, right?
Not so far.
This isn't a population control sort of tool.
Not so far, but I did think it was funny. On Facebook, one of the chefs in Denver posted that every time he goes to the Denver Zoo, he just thinks about how he could cook the animals that he sees.
That's awesome. And I assume that raises money for the zoo, that event?
Oh, yeah. Big. Yeah. I don't know how many thousands of people go, but it's a pretty big event, and I know they do pretty well. I think tickets are something like $150, $200.
All right, we're going to come back and talk to you about your event. That is the Denver Burger Battle in just a second. We're also going to find out the answer to your trivia question. What iconic American food item comes from the city of Denver? Before we get back into the burgers, I want to tell you about Taste Trekkers. This is the nation's first food tourism conference. It's an event for people who plan their vacations around food, and it's happening this fall, September 20th, 21st, and 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island. And I think you're going to love this event. I think it's going to be an amazing event. If you are a foodie and you like to travel to discover new foods, this is an event for you. Head over to the website tastetrekkers.com, TASTETREKKERS.com, and you'll see all the speakers that we've got. I mean, we're talking about everything at this event. We're talking about chocolate from Madagascar. We're talking about ceviche from Peru and Bolivia. We're talking about ice cider from Vermont. We're talking about beer from Denver, actually. That's going to be there as well. So it's going to be fantastic. Please check it out. Head to the website, tastetrekkers.com, and I hope you can join us this fall in Providence. It's going to be a great time. We are talking to Jeremy Kostler. He is the founder of the Denver Burger Battle, the big organizer, and we're going to talk to you about this event. But before we do, you had a trivia question for me. Give it to me one more time.
The question is, Denver lays claim to inventing this iconic American food item. What is it?
This iconic American food item. And of course, I think iconic American food items, I think hot dog, hamburger, pizza.
Right. Very hot.
So it's one of those three? Can we narrow it down?
Yes, it is one of those three.
Which one? I don't think it's pizza. I'm going to rule out pizza, so I think it's going to be hot dog or hamburger. I'm going to guess, because you're, the organizer of the Burger Battle, that you went with burger. Is that correct?
That is correct. Good job, Seth. Actually, burger's not entirely correct. It's cheeseburger, specifically cheeseburger. Yes, we trademarked the name cheeseburger. It was the first ever trademark of the name cheeseburger was awarded to Louis Ballast of the Humpty Dumpty Drive-In in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, how far back? Do you know?
1920s, 1930s. But what's funny is that the Humpty Dumpty Drive-In caught fire and it burned down to the ground. But it really is right downtown in Denver. In fact, I went there a couple of years ago to just figure out where it was. You know, I'm obsessed with burgers, so I thought I'd make the trip. And it's there's like a little memorial to it that designates the spot. And it's in like a bank parking lot. It's very interesting.
So that's where the cheeseburger came. That seems like sort of a patent troll thing to do, doesn't it? You know, you can't put cheese on your burger without, paying me a royalty. Well, very cool. Well, let's talk about your event. The Denver Burger Battle. Tell me about the overall concept. What happens there?
The overall concept is that we invite, and it is invite only, we invite the top 12 restaurant burgers throughout the state of Colorado to serve their burgers one night in a charity competition. So in a given year, I'll try something like 70 different burgers from around the state, and they'll come down to our list of the 12 that we want to invite, and we'll get them.
And what do you look for in a burger when you're deciding whether somebody gets invited or not?
The number one thing is, and it's, obviously it's not a scientific process, but the number one thing is, does it make your eyebrows go up when you first bite into it? Do you think like, wow, that's good? Does it have that wow factor when you first get into it? What I'll do is actually, I cut right down the middle of the burger before I bite into it. Half of the burger goes to the side, half of it, I just eat like a regular person. Like if I was just walking in off the street and I eat that half. Then the other half, I'll generally deconstruct the burger, taste in each individual component and think, see what I think of that.
I love the science of burgers. I love how you elevate it to an art form.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an art form, no question about it. I mean, running this event for the last few years and meeting the chefs behind it, they are fanatic, totally fanatic. I was talking to a chef in the competition the other day, and he was telling me about how just the stress with which the farmer kills the cow, the amount of stress that they go through in that moment affects the meat. I was pretty dumbfounded by that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, the big debate of corn-fed versus grass-fed, and that just goes into the actual meat portion. Everything else is open for debate of too. Soft and squishy bun versus a brioche versus a ciabatta and all this stuff.
All right, so I want to get into some of the secrets, but first, tell me a little bit about the history of the event. How long have you been doing this now?
This is our 4th year.
How has it changed over the years?
The number one thing that's changed over the years, and unfortunately so, is we've moved it every year. So, we've always had it at an iconic Denver location. So the first year we had it right next to the baseball stadium. Second year we had it right next to Union Station, which is our train station that's in all the photographs. Third year we had it on the field at Mile High Stadium, which is where the Broncos play. And then this year we have it at our Performing Arts Center, where we have this big alien statue that's very well known around the country.
I saw that. That's called Sculpture Park, right?
That's right. Somebody pointed out to me the other day that's where the aliens landed, because they have dancing alien statues.
And you're raising money for a charity. What, where do the proceeds go?
Yeah, and every year we rotate that as well. So the first year it was Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that was a charity that I was intimately involved in. I had a little brother at the time. And then the second year it was for a different charity. Third year it was for a different charity. This year we actually created our own charity. So my last name's Kostler. I made a very original name of the Kostler Foundation. And then we'll pass the net proceeds on to a child welfare charity that we've decided on.
So this is a competition. Naturally, the question comes up, who's judging?
Who's judging? So we have two different types of judging and trophies to go with it. So the first judge are the people. Every person gets a single vote, and then that will crown the people's champion. The judge's champion is also important too, and that's we get 4 the city class judges. What's four of the best chefs in Denver, and they'll judge the burgers, and they crown a judge's choice.
So who are the judges for 2013 for the judge's choice?
The chef judges for the event are Jennifer Jasinski, who just won the James Beard Award.
Oh, look at that! That's some high power there.
Absolutely, yeah. And last year we had her now husband, which is kind of a celebrity couple in Denver. This guy Max McKissick, who's a very well-known chef in Denver in his own right. He runs Squeaky Bean, it's a really good restaurant. And so anyway, this year it's Jennifer Jasinski, Lon Semensma, who's named by one of our foodie magazines as being the 2013 best chef in Denver. And he runs a restaurant called Cholon. It's also very good Asian food. Brandon Biederman, who's kind of the king of comfort food in Denver, owns a restaurant called Steuben's that serves the best comfort food in the city. And Biker Jim, international street food star, Biker Jim, and chef owner of Biker Jim's Hot Dogs.
Oh, very cool. Do you usually see that the judge's choice and the people's choice, do they tend to fall in line, or are they different?
You know, it's interesting. They often parallel each other in a lot of ways, but they never have come up with the same winner.
To feed every single person who is coming in, how many attendees do you have? That's a lot of burgers, right?
Yeah, we'll have over 1,000 attendees, and what they do is they cut the burger into quarters. So you're eating a quarter from each place, and if you eat all of them, obviously that's 3 full burgers. People get Thanksgiving Day full. You get your money's worth.
Right. Okay, so that's a lot of burgers. But I have to imagine if I'm a chef, I'm coming in, the burgers that I'm giving to the judges, I'm taking a lot of care with those. Not that I'm not with the others, but...
Sure.
Or do the rules say that they have to do the exact same thing to all the burgers?
They're supposed to, but I've heard rumors kind of gussy up the chef's burger because, we have to say to them, okay, we have to basically break in line to get a burger for the judges so they know what's going on.
Right. It's expensive to put pate or bone marrow or whatever your secret ingredient is to every burger, right?
Right. We actually had a foie gras. Somebody shaved foie gras onto burgers for everybody, not just the judges, for the people's too, for the last 2 years.
What is the strangest ingredient you've seen over the years doing this?
We've had some interesting beef, that's for sure. Last year we had ostrich and we had yak this past year.
Wow.
We have some exotic meats for sure.
And you mentioned the corn-fed versus grass-fed debate. Tell me how that plays out. What are chefs doing and what are they thinking when they're putting this together?
Generally, and not related to the competition, there's this debate about corn-fed versus grass-fed. I know that grass-fed, having done a little bit of research on this recently, grass-fed is better for the environment in certain ways, better for the land. That kind of stitches it together as opposed to how people raise corn. So there's the environmental aspect of it. There's also a health aspect of it where if the cow is eating omega-3s that are in grass, that translates also into the fat in the burger, and that it's a better fat for you than, say, corn is. It's also better for the cow because the cow has a natural pH balance in their stomach, and the corn throws that off, whereas the grass is more neutral. So a lot of cows raised on corn, they'll have diseases and issues with their gut, and whereas a lot of the ones raised on grass will not.
And is grass-fed beef easy to find in Denver?
Yeah, actually, it's not too bad. I think our local, King Supers, which is like everybody else's Kroger's or, that kind of a place, Safeway, something like that. They'll have like an organic section, and generally you can get grass-fed beef. Obviously, some of the more specialty markets have it. Whole Foods has it in abundance. I eat a lot of burgers. I really can't tell the difference between grass-fed and corn-fed. I've heard that corn-fed is a little bit sweeter, but I really can't tell the difference, and I'm kind of glad that I can't. Really, for most people in the country, that's what it's going to come down to.
Is taste, yes. So talk to me about the competitors. Who are the 12 this year?
We have Park Burger.
Now, I've heard very good things because I actually interviewed a blogger named the Burger Baron, who's from there in Denver, and that was his...
I know the Burger Baron.
That was his favorite burger, was Park Burger.
It's mine too. One of very few.
So Park Burger, tell me a little bit about them.
Park Burger is a restaurant concept by a former fine dining chef, a well-trained guy. He is also very fanatic about his ingredients. In fact, he uses the same beef that In-N-Out uses. He uses Harris Ranch beef, never frozen. He may have the greatest bun in America. I swear, I've tried burgers everywhere. I've never tasted a bun that's this good. It's soft and squishy on top. It's that perfect toasted crunch on the bottom. It's awesome.
All right, so that's Park Burger. Go there for their buns. Who else?
There's a place called Crave Real Burgers. They're very creative, extremely creative, almost, like teetering on the line between like genius and very odd.
And when you say creative, are you talking about toppings there, or?
Oh yeah. I mean, the meat is kind of the canvas, and then they'll throw all sorts of stuff on there. So I when they first opened up, they put a chicken wing on a burger and with blue cheese and all kinds of stuff, and it was actually a chicken wing in the bone, which I thought was odd.
That is odd.
But I think they've gotten away from that now. It's more. It's definitely creative, but it's not scary creative like a chicken wing would be. But they have like the Luther, which is the bun is made out of donuts. I mean, it's just
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that's Crave. Who else we got there?
Lark Burger. That was a former fine dining burger. You once had to pay $18 for that burger, but now it's a local chain. I think they have 6 to 8 locations, maybe 12 locations around Denver Metro, and that's known for its truffle.
Tell me about Juicy Burgers and Dogs.
Juicy Burgers, that's the one that I was referring to before, where I was talking to him and he said about the stress of the cow. He is extremely fanatic about where his ingredients come from and how every little piece tastes. And I really appreciate that in our competitors. So that one is a char style. Most of the competitors and most restaurants that make burgers make them on a flat top. So that's why it tastes a little bit different than the ones you'd maybe make at home. But this guy at Juicy Burger, he makes it on a traditional grill with slats. And that gives it that carbon taste, that smoky carbon flavor that translates into the beef. And it is very good. It's probably the best char style beef burger I've had in all of Denver.
So euthanized cows over at Juicy Burger.
Right.
Now you've also got, I noticed, a fish house and oyster bar, Jack's, on the list.
Yeah, Jack's, I'm really excited about Jack's because when I first moved here and every year since, I've heard people talk about the hidden gem of burgers in Denver, and that's at Jack's Fish House. Can you believe that Jack's Fish House would have the best burger in Denver? It's a fish house. So, we tried it over the years. This year, I think they really nailed it, and I loved it when I had it there. And it is kind of a hidden gem because you never would walk into a fish house and order a burger, but it's kind of not a well-kept secret, I wouldn't say.
So I imagine that a place called Highland Tap and Burger, much more obvious.
Yeah, and they're the ones that shaved foie gras on theirs, incidentally, and it was awesome.
Oh.
It's like a $12 edition, but it's worth it. Very worth it.
Very cool. Tell me a little bit about Edge.
Edge is it's at the Four Seasons. It's a restaurant within the hotel. Which at this point in Denver, I don't know that we've embraced that quite as well as we should. Restaurants and hotels, but this one absolutely knocked my socks off. I mean, it had the most amazing Kobe style meat grind of any of the places that I had tried in the 70 that I tried this year. And it was one of the highest rated ones that I personally had. So it also had a truffle mayo that was just perfect. The whole thing was perfectly balanced.
Truffle is one of those things that really just makes everything better.
I completely agree. Truffle and salt, and forget it. And everything.
All right, we've got a couple more here. Candlelight.
Candlelight is a really, really good purist's burger. It's like that classic burger style that you might get from, just a breezy, windblown place off the highway in Kansas somewhere. It's like that. It's just you and the meat and the cheese and the steamed bun, and that's it. There's no special sauce. There's no truffle. There's nothing. It's just a classic, awesome burger.
All right. How does that do in the competition usually? Do you see that, do you see people leaning towards sort of the fancier, more creative burgers? Or do you see people leaning more towards your standard classic burger?
In all honesty, I think that the people kind of gravitate towards more of interesting creations, creative use of ingredients. But I think that the judges really appreciate a classic style. Last year, Lark Burger won with their it's kind of a classic burger. Yes, it had truffle on it, but it was so much more classic and sort of subdued than any of the other ones. They just executed it really, really well. And that's what I think Candlelight could possibly win it.
That's interesting. I would have expected you to say the opposite, but that's interesting that you say the judges tend to lean more towards the classic. Tell me about Linger.
Linger is so awesome. This burger, I'm so excited to have this in the competition. It is a black burger. It is like pure black. It's like eating midnight. The bun is made of squid ink, and the squid ink is put into like their bao bun, and they make a bao bun hamburger bun out of it. And so it is pitch black, and it's like a shiny pitch black burger.
What? That's crazy.
And they call it, and it's the coolest title too. They call it the Tokyo White Castle Slider.
That's awesome.
That doesn't tingle your imagination. There's something.
That's fantastic. And
the way that they came up with it, I love this restaurant called Linger, which is also in that Low-High neighborhood that we talked about before. They travel around the world, and they get inspiration from different things, and not just upscale. This is a perfect example of it. They were in Tokyo, and the guys were on their way to some dinner, and it's two guys, the owner and the chef, and they passed by a billboard for a Burger King burger that had a black bun. And they immediately went into this Burger King and ordered, I don't know if they ordered that or something similar, but they were so struck by the inventiveness of a black burger that they came home and immediately tried it. And succeeded, by the way. It doesn't just look good. It tastes fantastic.
Tell me about Punch Bowl Social.
The chef there had been at 2 previous restaurants that I loved. Their burgers were awesome. And so he really knows what he's doing. This guy, Sergio Romero, he was with Argyle and he was with Legrand. And now Punch Bowl Social is kind of their major restaurant. It's huge, this place. But the food that they serve here is excellent, really good, kind of upscale comfort food. And it's just executed really well. This guy does a great job. He puts a fried egg on it. He's got a kind of a very subtle 6-pepper blend. And very generous fat content in the meat, so it's just got an excellent flavor.
All right, and we've got Tag Burger Bar?
Yes. So TAG stands for, TAG stands for the chef's initials, Troy Atherton Guard, and he has another very good fine dining restaurant called TAG. He recently kind of focused his energy on burgers at another location that he has called Tag Burger Bar. And he's created 7, 8 different burger creations that are awesome, that rock. The different ingredients are so inventive and creative, and he's really good too. His imagination with burgers is pretty off the charts. So the one that he's putting into the competition, I believe, is the Colorado burger, and it has honey in it. It has Colorado honey, it has Colorado cheese, it has Colorado green chilies. So it's a very Colorado centric offering.
All right, and we got one more here, and that's Grind.
That one was in Glenwood Springs, which is very close to Aspen. And I had heard about it from some word of mouth. Our big magazine in town is 5280. Their food editor kind of tipped me off and said, this is one of the best burgers that she had, and I needed to go check it out. So we did, and we drove the 3 hours out to Glenwood Springs for this burger. And I'll tell you what, that burger could be one of the best burgers anywhere. I mean, it's definitely the best burger in Glenwood Springs or at that whole Glenwood Springs Aspen area, although there's one more that's also very good. But it's very fresh. They get their beef from a farm that's nearby in Carbondale. It was highlighted as one of the top 4 U.S. Mountain burgers in Ski Magazine. And it just has a sort of a fresh, unique flavor. That's all they do. It's focused on burgers, and they do it really well.
Dude, I'm sitting here right now. I've pulled up the Google Maps, and I'm planning out my road trip. This sounds like a fantastic event. I gotta ask you. There is a general admission price, and then there's a VIP ticket price. What does my VIP ticket get me?
Right, and as you can imagine, we only have 12 restaurants in, so the line can get a little bit not crowded, but it maybe 15 people in line. So VIP gets you in an hour early, basically no lines. So an hour early, you also get a specialty cocktail from one of the top mixologists, this guy, Josh Smith, and he's in Aspen. He is one of the best cocktail mixers in the entire state. He's kind of a legendary figure at this point, I think. And he's going to make the trip up from Aspen just to mix drinks at our event.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. All right, this is the Denver Burger Battle. Absolutely great. Are you ready to play a little game?
I'm ready.
Okay, this game is called Out of the Frying Pan, and here's how it works. I'm going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations. Just tell me the first thing that pops into your head. Here we go. You're obviously in the Mile High City. What is the restaurant with the best view?
Linger. Linger is in the Low-High neighborhood. So that the Low-High neighborhood has kind of a slope to it. It's slope upwards. It's kind of on the top of a hill, and it's got the best patio right there where it overlooks the entire downtown.
You mentioned the Broncos. Do you have a favorite bar to go to watch the game?
Yes, I really like the Blake Street Tavern, which is downtown in Denver. That's probably my favorite spot for watching either Broncos or my Colorado Buffaloes.
Talk to me about breakfast. Where do you like to go for breakfast?
Oh yeah, that one's easy. And this is not a well-kept secret in Denver. A place called Snooze, which is in the Ballpark neighborhood. Best pancakes ever. And they are taking over the country. They've just recently expanded into San Diego, but their pineapple upside down pancake will change your life.
Oh, that does sound good. Tell me about food trucks. Do you have a favorite?
I do. Pinche Tacos is the best food truck, I think, in Denver. They got so popular with their tacos that they recently started opening up brick and mortar, and those two are the brick and mortar restaurants are totally packed. There's one in the Highlands area on 32nd, and then there's one just outside of downtown on the eastern side of downtown.
I now know what Denmex is. Where is the best place to go for Denmex?
El Taco de Mexico on Santa Fe. You may have to learn Spanish in order to order anything. Actually, they may have changed recently, but it used to be that was part of the cachet, was like the whole menu was in Spanish. But it's the best food by like people that have, these women in the back that have been making this for 40 years.
You talked about all the great beers that are there. My favorite thing to do is to walk into a brew pub and order the sampler, and just get like little samples of 5 different beers. Is there a great place to do that in Denver?
Absolutely, all over the place. I happen to live really close to the Denver Beer Company, which is really good. The beers are pretty good, but really the atmosphere is awesome. It's always packed, and it's just a great atmosphere to have a sampler. And I think their samplers are like 15 different beers or 10 different beers or something. It's like it's around the whole wheel, basically.
All right, last question. Yeah, I know you've gone all over the state there to find the best burger. Who had the best fries?
I actually don't eat the fries. I would probably die at the age of 35 if I ate the fries and the burger at each of these places. That's my one rule for my health.
Is no fries.
Yeah.
70 burgers, no fries. I understand. All right. Well, thank you so much for playing. You really have been studying up. I think you did very, very well there. We've been talking to Jeremy Kostler. He's the organizer of the Denver Burger Battle. It is happening August 8th. 2013 at Sculpture Park in Denver. You can find out more at denverburgerbattle.com. Can we also follow on social media?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a great Facebook page with almost 6,000 fans. Just at Denver Burger Battle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about burgers. I'm planning my road trip. I'm going to get out there.
Thanks for having me. We'd love to have you at the event.
All right, my name is Seth Ressler. Thank you so much for listening. Couple of show notes before we go. First of all, Taste Trekkers Food Tourism Conference coming up this fall in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find out all the details over at tastetrekkers.com. You can also find links to a number of the things that we talked about in this interview over on the website. That's mysterymeat.org/podcast. While you're there, you can subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. And if you want to be a guest, you want to come on the show, you want to talk about the culinary scene in your city, we'd love to have you. Just click the Contact Us link and send us an email. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
This is the Fine Dining Podcast. You can find links to the places mentioned in this episode at tastetrekkers.com. Tastetrekkers.com. Thank you for listening.